Timur's Persia and Central Asia has been fragmented. You have many of Timur's descendants with their own kingdoms, especially in Central Asia. In 1483, in the Central Asian city of Andijan, now part of eastern Uzbekistan, you have one of Timur's grandson's great-grandsons born, Babur. And at the age of 12, Babur takes the throne of Fergana after the death of his father. Now, over the next few decades, he tries to consolidate control. He tries to take control of Samarkand, loses control, and then of Fergana, and keeps repeatedly losing control. Early in the 16th century, he is able to take Kabul, and then decides to focus on India instead of Central Asia. In 1526, famously with the use of cannons, which had not been used in a significant way in the Indian subcontinent until that time, Babur was able to defeat Ibrahim Lodi of the Delhi Sultanate and come to power in northern India. And you can see in this blue-gray color, this is the territory that Babur was able to rule over until his death in 1530. Mughal is just the Persian word for Mongol. Remember, Babur is a descendant of Timur, who is a Turco-Mongolian conqueror. On his mother's side, he claims descendancy from Genghis Khan. But Persian is the language of his court, and so it significantly increases the Persian influence in North Indian culture. After his death, his son Humayun comes to power. Humayun has difficulty retaining power. He has various family rivalries to contend with, and eventually he is dethroned by the Pashtun Suri dynasty. He goes to the Safavids and with their help is able to retake control, but then trips on stairs and dies. And then his son Akbar comes to power. Now, Akbar is perhaps most famous of all of the Mughal rulers. As you can see, he is able to rule over India for some time. As just mentioned, Humayun essentially had to reconquer, retake the throne, and his hold on power was relatively weak. But now Akbar is able to expand the territory that you see in this light purple mauve color. He's able to increase the central authority. And perhaps most importantly, he tries to unify India culturally. The Mughals are Muslim and are relatively tolerant up through Akbar and to some degree Jahangir of other religions. But Akbar takes a very pluralistic approach. He's famous for holding court with religious scholars throughout the empire, and even trying to merge the religions, creating what some would consider a religion of his own that would later be called Din-i-Ilahi, the religion of God. Many Jain and Hindu principles appeal to him. He becomes a vegetarian. He bans the slaughtering of cows. At his death in 1605, his son Jahangir comes to power. Historians consider Jahangir to be relatively tolerant like Akbar, and to continue the interest in the sciences and the arts that you saw in the Mughal court under Akbar. But he's a little bit more controversial. As we talked about in the Sikhism video, he famously tortures and executes Guru Arjan. Some would say it was because Guru Arjan was siding with Jahangir's son who was trying to rebel. Others would say that it was because Guru Arjan was getting a following in Punjab and that Jahangir was insecure of his own hold on power and decided to execute Guru Arjan. But he is succeeded by his son Shah Jahan, who becomes decisively less tolerant. His reign, however, is known as the golden age of Mughal architecture, with the crowning achievement, arguably, the Taj Mahal, which is a mausoleum that he commissions in the 1630s to house the body of his dead wife. As you can see here, it's housed in Agra. And Agra and Delhi, at various points during the Mughal Empire, are the capital. There's a few moments when it is at Lahore. He is eventually imprisoned by his son, Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb is considered a very strong and authoritarian ruler. You can see here that he is able to expand the territory of the Mughal Empire well into South India. At its maximum extent, the Mughal Empire is now rivaling the amount of territory that was controlled by the Maurya Empire, roughly 2,000 years before this time. Despite being the last truly strong Mughal emperor, he's also known as the least tolerant of the emperors. After the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, he's succeeded by weaker and weaker Mughal rulers. The 18th century, you see a significant decline in the power of the Mughals, the territory they have. Delhi is famously sacked by Nadir Shah, the Persian conqueror. As we get into the second half of the 18th century, the British are able to chip away more and more and more territory, not just from the Mughals, but from other Indian rulers as well, which we will see.
Hi children, we are in grade 5, subject is social. In today's class we are going to learn about the Mughal Empire. In the last class we have studied about some important dynasties. Among the 4 dynasties, we studied also about the Mughal Empire or the Mughal dynasty. Empire is, you all know what is empire? It is kingdom. So here the Mughal Empire. Emperor means king. Who is the first? The founder of this Mughal Empire was the king Babur, or the emperor called Babur. He started his ruling in the year 1526. He came to our India, conquered our India and Delhi part or the north part, and he started his ruling in the year 1526. And Babur's son Humayun, he started his ruling in the year 1530. In the year 1530 he started his ruling, but in between when the Afghans rebelled against him, he ran to Persia. After 15 years, means for 15 years he stayed where? In the Persia. Again he came back. He started his ruling in the year 1555. Okay, this is about the Humayun. Again, the next empire, Humayun's son is Akbar. You all know about Akbar, yes? Akbar the Great, yes? Akbar started his ruling after Babur, Humayun's son Akbar. You all know about Akbar. Akbar is very good at art. He was very good lover of arts, okay? And he also constructed some of the buildings. The next is Akbar's son Jahangir. Who was that? It is Jahangir. And Jahangir's son Shah Jahan. And Shah Jahan's son, we come across, the last ruler is Aurangzeb. Okay, see, Babur's son Humayun's son is Akbar, Akbar's son is Jahangir, Jahangir's son Shah Jahan, and Shah Jahan's second son is Aurangzeb, and he is the last ruler of this Mughal Empire. Coming to Jahangir, he is the son of Akbar. He also started his ruling in the year 1605. After Jahangir, his son Shah Jahan started his ruling in the year 1628. I think you all know why is Shah Jahan famous? Yes, he is the builder of Taj Mahal, Red Fort and Jama Masjid. Okay. Shah Jahan's son Aurangzeb. Now, he is said to be the last ruler of Mughal Empire, and also that he imprisoned Shah Jahan. What did he do? He imprisoned his father and he killed his elder brother. Why means? To become the king, he imprisoned his father and killed his elder brother and took the position as a king of this Mughal Empire. This is about the rulers of Mughal Empire. Now, in the next thing, we will come across Akbar and Aurangzeb. The two important persons are Akbar and Aurangzeb. These two, Akbar and Aurangzeb, were very good at the military arms. Why means? Because the ascended the throne. Coming to Aurangzeb, how he became emperor is he imprisoned his father and also killed his elder brother and he became the king. Okay. The next one we see the similarities between Akbar and Aurangzeb. What are the two similarities between these two are the both were the Mughal emperors. Who? Akbar and Aurangzeb. They both are very good emperor or the most important emperors of Mughal empire. The next one we see the difference between Akbar and Aurangzeb. Akbar was very good lover of arts. Like what are the art means? Like painting, writing, all this. And also we see a good poet that is Birbal in the court of Akbar and a music of Tansen in the court of Akbar. But coming to Aurangzeb, he was not at all interested in music and arts. He wanted to live a peaceful life during his time. This is the difference between Akbar and Aurangzeb. The next part, we will see some find the difference between the empires. That is difference between the kingdom. The first one we come across is time. The Mauryan here, which are the two important? That is the first important is Mauryan Empire and the last one is Mughal Empire. The difference between these two are the time. Coming to the time, the Mauryan were they from 322 to 185 BC. But coming to Mughal, they started their ruling in the 1526 till the 1800. Okay. Coming to time, the next one is about the size. Okay, means the largest ruling time is comparing to Mauryans and Mughals. Mauryans are said to be the largest empire. Mauryans are said to be the largest empire. Coming to time, they were from 322 to 185 BC, but Mughals were from 1526 to 1800. Coming to the size, it is said that Mauryans were the largest ruler of these four dynasties. The next one we come across is religion. Coming to the Mauryan religion, we see Ashoka, and also coming to Mughal, we see Akbar. Both were very good. They were encouraging all the religions. Mauryans were also. Ashoka was also a very good encourager of all the religions. Even though he was a Hindu, he was encouraging all the religions. Okay, and coming to Mughal, that is Akbar, he also encouraged all the religions. Okay, and the next part, coming to the culture, they both were very good at encouraging all the peoples. They loved their subjects. Okay, this is about the Mughal Empire. Coming to Ashoka, how you all remember Ashoka? Because which is our national emblem? Yes, it is four-headed lion. Okay, and the capital of Sarnath. This was built by Ashoka, and we have taken it as our national emblem. Okay, children. So in today's class, we have learned about the Mughal Empire. Okay. Thank you, children. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.